cigarette out. You have made World Wrestling Federation history here tonight. It's the greatest moment of my life. I want to jump, I want to party, but I gotta tell you like this. For the Hulk Hogan, the Macho Man, and the Pipers, and the Stick, there's Ric Flair, and yo, they homage to the man. He went out there for over 60 minutes, never took a back pass, took it to Hogan, took it to the Undertaker, took it to whoever got that ring. That's why he is a Bobby Cole now. Here's the real world heavyweight champion. We're not the kind of guys that say, we told you so, but we told you so. Be very good. It's the umbrella pimp.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Coquito News. A little bit different today. I have the background with me, as you can see here. I'm in a secret location, so I can't really say where I'm at. Today, this afternoon and tonight, whenever you're going to hear this or see this, is going to be a live reaction of a case that I did talk about about a few months ago on my channel before it got erased. Now I got my second channel. This time, I'm going to talk about this woman and the child that got unalived and the proceeding and the courts after that. It's going to be 20 minutes. I will pause it a couple times to give my thoughts, but this is just going to be a live reaction to a horrendous crime. So I'm going to set up the thing right here. There, we got it up. Let's put it up here. There we go. Now I'm going to make myself a little bit more bigger just to kind of like put it out there. Thank you. I want to give credit to the Law and Crime Network for finding this and making this whole documentary. It's 20 minutes long. I want to give respect to that. I'm going to set it up. Make this big. And we'll put the resolution at 720. Just set it up as it is. Okay, setting it up. Here. And again, like, comment, subscribe, leave your thoughts. Share this as much as you can so other people can see this. Let's go.
You committed the ultimate act of betrayal, leaving your baby terrified, alone, unprotected.
That's fucked up.
To suffer what I heard was the most gruesome death imaginable.
An Ohio mother will spend the rest of her life in prison for leaving her toddler home alone for more than a week, where she starved to death while her mom jetted off on vacation. Prosecutors say 32-year-old Xristo Candelario left her 16-month-old daughter Jalen alone and unattended at her home beginning on June 6 of 2023. Candelario didn't return home until 10 days later on the 16th. And upon returning home, she made the tragic discovery. Her daughter was found unresponsive in what investigators described as a filthy playpen. She had been extremely dehydrated, and the young toddler was pronounced dead at the scene. According to the medical examiner, Jalen's body was extremely emaciated. She weighed less than 14 pounds at the time of her death. Investigators say Candelario left her daughter alone while she vacationed in Detroit and Puerto Rico. She was arrested and booked a day after returning home and discovering her daughter's body. In February of 2024, Candelario pleaded guilty to charges including aggravated murder and endangering children. During Candelario's sentencing, the prosecution said investigators combed through more than 600 hours of Ring camera footage, which actually showed Candelario left her daughter alone for 2 days before she jetted off on her vacation.
If in fact we would have gone to trial, the evidence was going to show that Xristo can't.
Now let's think about that for a second. She left her daughter, her child, let's say like that. She left her child 2 days even before she went to Puerto Rico. And I did talk about this, that she was in Puerto Rico. And once she got caught, you can see the timeline where she was. She was in the north. She went to the south. She passed by Luquillo. And just understanding and knowing now that 2 days before she even left, she left the... Okay, let's keep it going.
Candelario left the state of Ohio on 6/4/2023.
Yeah.
She leaves
For 2 people
because
watching, hit
there
that
is a
like. This is
receipt
gonna be
that's
a
found in her
horrible
car
crime.
that she is in Taylor, Michigan. Unbeknownst to Ms. Candelario, her neighbors had Ring doorbell, and the Cleveland Police Department Homicide Unit has gone through 648 hours and videos of the Ring doorbell, which you're going to see in this presentation.
Anyone with $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans may qualify for help from National Debt Relief. Minimum payments could literally keep you in debt.
Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. I had a.
With regards to Ms. Candelaria, she returns to Cuyahoga County on 6/6 at 7:41 a.m. So at this particular point, we have reason to believe that this child was left alone for 2 days now, and she returns on 6/6/2023.
Prosecutors say after returning on June 6 of 2023, Ring camera footage captures Candelario again leaving Cuyahoga County, Ohio, where police cameras later captured her movements in Detroit, Michigan.
Through the search warrants, we were able to retrieve her Spirit airline tickets that showed her departure and her return from Puerto Rico. She was gone from 6/8 to 6/11. And it's interesting, Your Honor, because in the defense memorandum, it says that her abrupt stopping of medications played a significant role in her ability to function as a parent and make sound decisions. So when we look at these are.
So let's look at it this way. She's saying that she wasn't medically or mentally stable to take care of her kid and left her there because she was mentally unstable. But then they're going to show you right now, and this is things that I had on my channel too, and I talked about this on Instagram as well and in YouTube. She was out. She was out in Santurce. She was out everywhere, just freaking partying her ass up. That doesn't seem like a mentally unstable person to me, in my understanding. That's just my thoughts. You guys leave your comments down below.
Items from her phone. Her actions indicate to us that she is in Puerto Rico having a good time with friends, and that there is not a care in the world about the 16-month-old that was left alone in the pack and play. These pictures show somebody who is showing sound discretion and judgment because she's having a good time. Meanwhile, this child is in a pack and play.
The prosecutor said during Candelario's vacation, Ring camera video captured the sounds of crying from her toddler while she was left unattended. When she returned on June 16th, prosecutors say upon discovering her daughter dead in the pack and play, Candelario redressed the young toddler before calling 911. Portions of that phone call were played before the judge in court where Candelario.
So you're telling me after she was mentally unwell, came back from Puerto Rico to Ohio, saw her baby dead, and thought, I'm just going to wrap her up and then call the cops because I'm smart and no one's going to notice. This is a monster.
Candelario can be heard screaming for help.
Please, I need help. Okay, I can't help you if I don't know where you're at, so tell me the address so we can help you. 129 with Mason. Okay, is there a single or an apartment? Please. What's your name? Xristo. What's your last name, Crystal?
For those 4 people watching, you can go back about a couple more minutes, but leave the likes. This is horrible.
The state says despite Candelario's emotional phone call to 911, the next day she went back to Detroit to visit one of the men she had been dating. During her interview with investigators, Candelario claimed she had been home all week and her daughter hadn't been eating well for the past few days.
Lie.
She said she woke up that morning and found Jalen unresponsive.
So that was just Monday and Tuesday of this week. She was throwing up.
Yes.
And then how was she Wednesday and Thursday?
She was with no food, just with a meal because she was refusing maybe.
Okay, this is one after she came back home and they're investigating her, everything else. Again, she knows Spanish, so she's trying to translate Spanish to English. I understand that. Listen to her testimony, because I talked about this before. I already said this before, but listen to exactly what she says. It's just dark.
Is because she didn't want me 2 days, before. Yeah. So that's why I was scary because I say, oh my God, let me go to the hospital because she doesn't eat.
Please share this if you can, Red Wolf. This is a horrible crime.
Her weight, I lose, her weight. But right now, in this morning when I wake up, she was asleep. She sleep every day 12 hours. Okay. She sleep like at 9 p.m. through 9 or 10 a.m. Okay. 12 hours. So in this morning I was sleeping too. I never wake up. She was
what happened? What was going on last night?
Last night she was crying a lot. And I see one moment when I was take a shower, and she was screaming like, I don't know, probably she get in pain.
Okay.
Maybe.
About what time was that last night?
Maybe at 7 or 8 p.m.
Okay.
So she was screaming like, probably for pain or something like that. In this morning when I wake up, I took her in the morning for Jaylene, wake up, and she wake up, and when I see her, I see she looks like a really, really dry, like a, ¿cómo se dice cuando una persona se chupa? O sea,
her body got sucked in.
Kind of like, yeah.
Put the volume on low so I can talk.
Prosecutors say Jalen died a horrible death, prompting them to bring in the medical examiner.
Yes,
Dr.
if it's too low, guys, tell me. I'm just trying to talk at the same time.
Terrible and horrendous conditions.
This is a monster thing.
Unfortunately, this is one of the most tragic and unfortunate cases I've had in my career thus far. So today I speak on behalf of her and her findings with the course of my examination. We received Jalen at the medical examiner's office from the scene of her residence, at which time she was clothed in non-soiled clothing, indicating her body had likely been dressed prior to first responders' arrival, as they had mentioned.
They realized it. They're not stupid.
So at autopsy, I examined the body of a very emaciated female toddler.
Okay.
At this point, she weighed 13 pounds. Upon review of medical records, this indicated approximately a 7.
Now, this is the autopsy. This is the coroner, and she's giving a detailed report of what she saw when she saw the body of the 16-year-old Jaylene. And you can hear the sadness and the despair in her voice, because who would not be freaking out if they have to describe a 16-month-old kid? I mean,
10-pound weight loss since her previous doctor's visit less than 2 months.
Hit that like, everyone that's watching. Share this if you can.
Eyes were sunken, and she had temporal wasting in her face. In addition to that, the skin showed markedly decreased turgor, meaning when I pinch the skin, it remains in that tented position, indicating severe dehydration.
Damn.
In addition, there was abundant fecal material present, caked on the fingers, the fingernails, the hands, the feet, as well as the soles of the feet.
I'm not sure if this might interest you, but people ask me, how did you lose so much weight? And here's what I tell them.
I don't care. Almost halfway done, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
The same material was found on her lips, which
Sorry
were
about
very
that.
dry
Gotta pay the
and
bills
flaking,
with other
as well
guys.
as in her oral cavity.
I'm gonna go back because I want to hear what she says
Mooney
exactly.
said Jalen's body fed upon itself,
Go back.
trying to
Go
The
back.
material was
A
found
couple more times. There we go.
material present, caked on the fingers, the fingernails, the hands, the feet, as well as the soles of the feet. The same material was found on her lips, which were very dry and flaking, as well as in her oral cavity, caked to her teeth.
Dr. Mooney said Jalen's body fed upon itself, trying to get nutrients. Her kidneys failed, and based on the decomposition and state of her body, she had likely died 2 or 3 days before her mom returned and discovered her body. Jalen's cause of death was ultimately ruled as starvation and extreme dehydration due to pediatric neglect. The state said none of Jalen's family called their office to ask about the case. Instead, they were more concerned about Candelario. So law enforcement became the voice for the young toddler. Sergeant Teresa Gomez became emotional as she explained Jalen's.
You know what's sad about that? That none of the family asked about the baby. What happened to the baby? How did the baby die? Was it peaceful? No. They only asked about the mother. I'm Puerto Rican, and to be that ego-driven, to worry about the mother and not the child,
Jalen's young life was cut too short for no apparent reason.
This tragedy should have never happened. I am Sergeant Gomez from the Homicide Unit. The entire Homicide Unit, Cleveland Homicide Initiative, and our partners from the FBI are here today in honor of baby Jaylee Candelario. When we were first notified of this horrific case, we were all heartbroken.
Yeah.
But when we started digging deeper into the investigation, it was beyond horrific. It was revealed that the defendant, Xristo Candelario, left her own child alone for hours, which led to days, which led to weeks. This 16-month-old baby was left alone in a pack and play to fend for herself for 11 days with no food, maybe milk, the clothing she had on, and the diaper she was wearing. This baby loved her mother. She needed her mother, and her mother betrayed her.
Later, when it came to the defense's turn to speak, Candelario's lawyer, Derek Smith, didn't condone her actions.
Everything
that's something.
Get into here today.
That's something.
And my client agrees with me. Is no justification for her actions. And what the prosecution said, actions matter. And these actions are narcissistic, selfish, abhorrent, absolutely worst parenting imaginable.
Yeah.
She pled to aggravated murder.
You know it's bad when the defense attorney craps on you, dude. Damn. You know it's bad when the defense attorney's like, dude, this is a horrible human being. I know she messed up. It was wrong. I understand that. Yeesh.
What we're about to tell you is mitigation.
The defense says Candelario was struggling with being a single mother of two.
Fast forward to 2023. It's just overwhelming. She even tried to harm herself. Took 20 Motrin. Ended up in Metro. In early February of 23.
Thank you. No, it's okay. It's okay. I respect that.
Alone,
this is hard.
Her mother went to check on her, asked her what was going on. Her whole side of her body was numb. Didn't know what was going on. They took her to Hillcrest Hospital. She was admitted there. And they were doing some evaluations for her migraine. She was complaining about headaches and weakness, facial drooping, thought it was possible stroke. They put her on IV Depakote, which is a anti-seizure, also used to treat manic disorder. And at the end of the day, after evaluations, she was clean, nothing wrong with the brain. They gave her oral Depakote and Effexor, 2 antidepressants, and sent her home. She was not very clear on what those were, but she was taking them supposedly as directed. And then she returned to Hillcrest Hospital again in March. And there was a note from the doctor saying that she should have had plenty of Effexor, but she's saying that she's out and she needs more. And she's coming back with the same problems. So they got her evaluated again, and they were saying that her anxiety and her stress was the trigger for these physical manifestations to what was happening to her, for the loss of sensation in the side of her body, the numbness. And they prescribed her more Depakote, more Effexor, and also Atarax to help her sleep because she wasn't sleeping. And this is in March of 2023.
I want to pause that there and say my thoughts on that. Now, she went saying that she might have had a stroke, went to the doctor. Doctor's like, you didn't have a stroke. Here's some pills for antidepressants. Here's some pills for sleeping. Here's your pills for da-da-da-da-da. Now, we all know when you mix a lot of antipsychotics and antidepressants together, you get a cocktail of something very dangerous. Now, I'm not condoning or excusing what she did to her daughter. She's going to a specific type of hell for what she's doing. But to understand that she was mentally not even there, checked out, and the doctor said you should have more than enough for your trip and back. And then she says you didn't, which either we can surmise that she overused it, or she just lost it, or she forgot it. So let's keep going. This defense attorney sucks.
And, take the medications as prescribed. And then medications ran out. She wasn't feeling any better. They weren't working. She stopped. Not supposed to do that with these drugs, Your Honor. These are very serious mental health drugs, and you need to be tapered off of these medications, or there could be some side effects. Not only.
Okay, yeah, side effects. So she ran out. So before the trip, she ran out of pills. Use the finger quotes here, and they're using that as a defense. No, she ran out of pills. When you run out of those type of pills, you kind of go crazy. Okay.
The side effects, but the actual underlying conditions that she may have had or been suffering from are also going unmedicated this time.
Smith said the photos of Candelario on the beach didn't show the entire story, adding she was hiding her depression from herself and her family. He said there was no justification for Candelario's actions.
None.
She could have called authorities or done things differently.
When you're in that state, when you're off medication, mismanaging your thoughts, you're not thinking clearly. Her body she had to get out, and she was having fun. If she was okay, in her mind, Jaylene was okay. Of course, that's not the case. But I will point to when she did finally get home, and we heard that 911 call. She didn't want this to happen. You could hear that screaming, "Help me! My daughter's dying." Yes, because of your actions. Because
yes.
What their choices were, and you took responsibility for that. But that call, that one tiny breach from whatever was going on in her head, that reality that her daughter was dying, she was calling for help. She didn't want that.
The defense called
Commercial.
¿Eres dueño de una casa?
No.
Si tienes un medidor de energía como este
tengo.
a un lado de tu casa,
No, gracias.
ahora puedes...
No, thank you. Come on, we got 5 more minutes. Let's go.
And father to speak before the judge, and despite the prosecution saying Jaylen's extended family never followed up with the state about the case, Candelario's family, through an interpreter, said they were sorry for not seeing the signs their daughter was struggling on the inside. Yeah. And they will never forget Jaylen.
No one ever imagined that this suffering would culminate in a tragedy.
Y hoy aquí quiero decirle a Jaylene
And here I'm.
que eres nuestro ángel, Jaylene.
I want to say here before Jaylene, our angel.
Tu recuerdo vive en nosotros.
That your memory lives within us.
Siempre te amaremos.
We will always love you.
Te acuné en mis brazos.
I held you in my arms.
Tus abuelos nunca te olvidarán.
Your grandparents will never forget you.
Perdóname, bebé.
Now, the reason he's saying forgive me is that if you go back earlier in this reaction, they did say that during the time that the mother was gone and after the fact, none of the family members, none of the grandmas, none of the brothers, sisters, cousins, none of them asked about Jaylene. None of them. I want to put that really clear and concise. And now that the grandma and the grandpa are looking at the daughter, the granddaughter's the picture, now they want to feel remorse and say, hey, I'm sorry. And I knew something was up when they said, forgive us. If you did nothing wrong, why would you ask for forgiveness?
Forgive me.
Por vivir la oscuridad del conocimiento.
For being in the dark.
Candelario also addressed the court where she appeared visibly emotional. Through an interpreter, she said she was extremely hurt by everything that happened.
I'm not trying to justify my actions.
Pero nadie sabe cuánto yo estaba sufriendo.
But nobody knew how much I was suffering.
Y por lo que estaba pasando.
And what I was going through.
Todos los días le pido perdón a Dios y a mi hija, Jaylene.
Every day I ask forgiveness from God and from my daughter, Jaylene.
Jaylene. This is sad.
Soy una persona creyente de Dios.
You're a believer of God. You're about to get smited.
y reconozco hoy que todos y todas, muchas ocasiones, somos tentados por el enemigo.
And I recognize today that all of us are sometimes subject to the enemy.
No, that interpreter kind of messed up. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back.
Todas, que todos y todas, muchas ocasiones, somos tentados por el enemigo.
Some of us, if not all of us, are always tempted by the enemy. No one tempted you. You stopped taking medication. You went to Puerto Rico, stayed there for 16 days, drunk, partied up, and came back. No one tempted you. You chose this. I love when people of religious factors like, oh, the devil tempted me. No. Everything in life, from God to the devil, is a choice. You chose to do this. If you ran out of medication, don't go on a cruise.
And I recognize today that all of us are sometimes subject to the enemy.
Candelario said not a day goes by that she doesn't think of her daughter and says she prays to be reunited with her surviving daughter one day. However, the judge didn't mince words, saying Jalen died without the protection of her own mother, who chose to have fun over parenthood.
You committed the ultimate act of betrayal, leaving your baby terrified, alone, unprotected, to suffer what I heard was the most gruesome death imaginable. With no food, no water, no protection, and lying in her own feces. Ms. Candelaria, you know the responsibility of parenthood. You have a child already. You raised another child. And I've witnessed here before me your parents who showed you love and respect and education. And they came here to help you, to advocate for you, more than what you've done for your own child. The evidence that I've witnessed here before this court shows that this time you simply chose not to be here because you wanted to have fun.
Right off the bat.
You decided you needed a vacation. And what followed was absolute depravity.
The judge said at any point Candelario could have called for help or had someone come over to watch Jalen, but she chose otherwise.
Instead, I see photos of you on a beach while your child was eating her own feces in an attempt to survive. Photos mean something. And I'm well aware of mental health, but didn't look like you were too concerned about your child.
The judge said just as Candelario left Jalen alone to die, he ordered she face a similar punishment of life in prison.
The only difference will be that prison will at least feed you and give you liquids that you denied her.
The judge said this is one of the most difficult cases to hear. Candelario's life sentence comes with no chance for parole. Reporting for Law and Crime, I'm Elizabeth Miller.
I'm going to give a shout out to Law and Crime Network. Thank you for letting me see this. So there you go. Life without the possibility of parole. Now, is that justified or is it excessive? You leave it down below in the comments. I believe it's justified because, as the judge said it himself, you had every chance to call somebody, ask somebody, anybody around the place that you lived, hey, can you go check out my kid? You chose to be on vacation. You chose to be out in Puerto Rico, lovely Puerto Rico as it is, and chose unaliving your child for a party. You ran out of pills and you still went on vacation. But again, you and your whole family tree are dirty because they didn't check on the kid after the fact, during and after the fact. They admitted it. So that whole family is just dirty. Stay healthy. Stay happy. I don't like doing these things because sometimes it just hurts, but it needed to be said. Rest in peace, Jailene. And also, $10 a month gets you this.
Yeah, still in this bitch with the same shit on from yesterday.